Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Liz Musil, and I'd like to spend a few minutes talking to you today about how to create an engaging online learning experience, also known as 10 Modern Zen Tips for Online Leadership. Because as an online professor, you are really a leader of an online group, and these tips are applicable to the online classroom as well as businesses and any other virtual activity when you need to manage a team, lead them, make goals. So when you're leading a class online, you don't have the luxury of physical contact to create engagement. And engagement is where you're really connecting with your students and building cohesiveness of the group. So usual modes of communication such as facial expressions, tonality of speech, body language, and feedback are replaced by interactive technology, such as the one we're using today. With a growing number of organizations operating in the cloud, the need for successful leadership in virtual settings is increasing. This is important not only for your online course room, but your students and their future careers, that they are comfortable in working in online settings. So new skills need to be embraced to ensure successful behaviors, skills, and attributes of leadership are practiced, especially by online professors. Although online teaching has grown significantly over the past decade, limited information is available on how to successfully lead a virtual class. Online leadership continues to challenge entrepreneurs with shifting requirements and technological innovation. Businesses operating in the cloud face a serious deficiency as entrepreneurs often lack the crucial skills needed to lead and manage in the virtual environment. So again, there's one set of skills being developed for the professor in working online and creating engaging classrooms, but also for the students, because through their assignments and their team projects, they're developing these valuable skills as well. So what is a virtual leader? Leadership is influence. So virtual leadership is the practice of leading an organization, classroom, business group, team into virtual assignment, regardless of whether the organization is hybrid or virtual. So a research study that I conducted on virtual leadership attributes created some common theme. There were 50 participants in this qualitative study. These themes of necessary leadership attributes to successfully work online were technical and technology skills, communication, organization and planning, collaboration, emotional intelligence, and problem solving. So these were named as the top most critical attributes in a successful online leader. What is successful leadership in the online environment? And here we go. Here's the chart, and this is broken down by frequency. Of the 50 participants, everybody said technical and technology skills. And this is an ever-developing shift as technological innovation occurs. So basically, there is a continued need to grow. Communication is also important because you need to learn to successfully communicate over virtual mediums. Organization and planning. You know, it's important to be able to manage and ensure that goals and targets are met and learning occurs by using organization and planning, not micromanaging, not letting people twist out in the wind, but to be able to create and organize the class so that effective learning takes place. Creating collaboration, of course, emotional intelligence, and problem solving. So number one, we're going to go through these 10 tips. Lead differently. Leading differently is planning communication ahead of time. Many times in a traditional classroom, there's a topic. If the instructor is seasoned and they know the topic well, they can come in and talk off the top of the head, work off the classroom, get questions, and so forth. In a synchronous and an asynchronous environment, asynchronous being that we are all working together in different times, you don't have that instant feedback and communication. So you need to plan communication ahead of time and offer options for question and answers. You need to build trust, have clear roles and responsibilities. So you need to be clear and set an example that you are the leader and the professor, that they are the students. However, within their assignments and roles, they might have leadership roles as well in their assignments, for example, if they're doing some kind of case study or team project. Communication. It is shown through studies that both synchronous and asynchronous tools are used in successful online teaching. This way you don't overmanage or undermanage, and you use a variety of tools to engage students. What does this mean? This means you can have some kind of Zoom webinar as I'm having right now. You can have conference calls, you can have live webinar chats, but the whole emails, etc., listing discussion questions, going in and having feedback. But the key is to change it up so that students are not bored and they're engaged with the different ways you're reaching them, providing videos, etc. And as faculty and professors, it's important to continually develop your technical skill set. Number 2, think creatively. So getting on board with technology is important, and figuring out the best way to use it. Working online, as we said, it's important to keep up with tools, take advantage of videos and interactive tools that allow communication in a variety of ways, including social media. There's often Facebook groups and Snapchats that can help bond teams. Stakeholders are stimulated with a variety of experiences, so it's important to switch it up. Use emails, videos, Skype, Zoom, webinars, chats, graphs, tools. Don't be afraid to use images and charts, because visual communication is important when you are teaching concepts. Be able to communicate clearly and to the point, supplemented by notes. So always supplement your teachings by notes. Make sure they're clearly written and easy to understand, and be available to answer questions. Convey goals, responsibilities, and benchmarks clearly. This is often done via the syllabus and then weekly modules where assignments and requirements are broken down. Promote a dynamic business vibe with greater reliance on virtual communication tools, but support them with printed notes. So this way the student can always go back and take a look at what happened, but also participate and learn and become more comfortable with interactive tools online. Number 3, clarity of purpose. Understand roles and responsibilities. You always want to communicate your core objectives. They can be the learning objectives of the class, build good working relationships, one-on-one and with the group, uphold professionalism online, keep communication respectful, check all communications against your core purpose and energy, document assignments, roles, goals, and timelines. So again, in your planning of the course, you're doing a lot to support the clarity of purpose and function and steps, and it is part of your overall communication as an online professor. Create engagement and build community. Number 4. So be proactive, not reactive. That means reaching out to students that haven't participated this week, being helpful, offering conference calls, share information in a timely manner, encourage learning of new useful technologies. So point them to a technology or a skill that will help them in the topic that you're teaching. Technical skills help propel projects forward. Also display bundles of skills, such as good decision-making, fast response time, confidence, and a friendly attitude. As the professor and the role model, you set the tone of the course, and your attitude and the way that you are communicating sets the tone of the class and builds you as a role model of expected behavior. Finally, recognize and reward. So, of course, grading is private, but you are recognizing and rewarding. But of course, it is completely appropriate to reward students in discussion threads. For example, where you would be able to call out a student, Tom, Sue, and Angela, thank you so much for the excellent comments. It's obvious you took some extra time in your research and your response, and you've contributed greatly to the class. This really helps students and lets them know they're on the right track of the modeled behavior that's desired and will propel people forward. Number 5, master a variety of technical tools. Using technical tools effectively requires connections between soft skills and hard skills. For example, the frequency and method of communication using virtual tools such as Zoom, email, chats, and online meetings create communication opportunities using various levels of media richness. We will talk about media richness in a moment. An example would be clarifying a skill via email followed up with a group of synchronous online meeting skills. Soft skills such as emotional intelligence, intent, fairness, and reliability are vital regardless of medium using to communicate. So always focus on the positive, Don't be sarcastic. Be clear. Use group and team building types of language so that you can help create that collaborative, safe environment for students to share. Number 6, communicate clearly, responsively, and effectively. Okay? So responsibly, this is part of organizing and planning ahead. When you have students working on an assignment, is everybody clear on what we need to do, or do you want to schedule a quick meeting where we can ask questions? Give clear and timely instructions, provide support and feedback, communicate to fit the circumstances. Many times your students are working adults or very busy with families and so forth, so try to offer a variety of communication options. I'm having this meeting, I'll provide a recording. If you can't attend, email your questions. Just be accessible and respond. Be mindful of global scheduling requirements. If you have students that are in different time zones, offer them options to interact with you that can accommodate their schedule. Motivate and monitor progress. Follow up without micromanaging, and keep clear boundaries with social media and online behavior. So, of course, respectful behavior and language is very, very important in interactions because students need to build relationships with each other as well as with the class to facilitate learning and the learning process. But they may sometimes want to use social media, Instagram posts and pictures, working on a research project. But be sure to have some kind of clear social media policy that you can add into the course room that gives guidelines for acceptable behavior. So here we are. We're going to talk now about media richness. This is the media richness theory diagram, and you can see the reference below. But basically, it talks about more effective and less effective communication based on the medium used. So the richest medium would be face-to-face because, of course, you're able to see expressions, reaction, engagement. We're used to this kind of feedback in the discussion. And as we go down the chain here, video conferencing, telephone, two-way radio, documents, unaddressed documents, those are leaner mediums, and therefore they can be less effective in detecting clearer communication. So you want to mix it up. So you want to use emails with face-to-face webinars, communications, creating student engagement, have them create little videos on their phones. It's a great way of discussion questions for their initial response to be a short video that they created on their smartphone. That way you can see their face, everyone else can see their face and listen to the discussion. But that's the point. Get creative on your expectations. Mix it up and make it fun. Be emotionally intelligent, number 7. Emotional intelligence, management, and leadership merge as a single business concept, okay? Because everything is global and technically driven, politically charged, and flexible. So online business is driven by the emotional intelligence of a leader. The same thing in the online classroom. You must demonstrate emotional self-management, empathy, communication, and experience. So again, you've got to, as a professor, in your webinars, in your courses, in your lectures, in your one-on-one meetings, be technically driven. Be prepared to guide the student further to the next step. Don't overwhelm them. Be emotionally intelligent enough to understand and figure out where they are and how to get them to the next point as you guide them through the course. Okay? And again, if you're having a tough day or if you're having a combative student, emotional self-management and clear leadership is required to keep everything on track and running smoothly in the course room. Number 8, be self-directed and lead others to be self-directed. Technology requires the self-directed type of behavior, which is independent thought through research and problem solving with clients, peers, competitors. You don't want to create dependencies. You want to help others become self-reliant and confident with technology. I have taught many classes where students have had to do a final project in a team, and then it's like, I couldn't find this in the text. It never occurred to them to go on the internet and Google search something or to go to Google Scholar. You really want to encourage students to go out there and do some basic research because that's what they'll be doing on the job regardless of where they're doing. There's always going to be a research component now. So help make your students strong. Help working with them, whether it's APA formatting, whether it's how to create a video like this. Help them with their technical skills on top, and the research skills on top of just the class coursework. Very important. So organization and planning are critical. Number 9, you want to have effective time management, proficiency with technical tools, clear communication of policies and processes, fix miscommunications immediately if there's a misunderstanding. Be flexible when necessary. If people are traveling and such, you might need to extend a deadline. Practice solid file management, security, and version control. Teach that to your students as well. Offer assistance and tutorials. Show initiative, lead by example, and build your classroom culture. And finally, number 10, be outcome driven. If you practice everything we've discussed in this video, you'll also guide students to be outcome driven in their assignments. Validate information, show assertiveness, be supportive, check in and monitor progress, guide them along, create a dynamic and thriving culture, be a people person, even though you're online, but focus on keeping tasks moving forward, and create an online trail that's easy to follow so you and the students can go back when they need to with sequential links to information, and so they're able to find out what they need. Putting it all together, online leaders, online professors are trailblazers. They have to practice their profession in the cloud, where the communication medium provides lower media richness than traditional business or classroom settings. Successful virtual leadership in business requires that leaders are able to practice hard and soft skills to achieve goals. The same is in the classroom, and this is what you want to be able to teach your students, as they will need the skills as they go forward. Unlike face-to-face business, virtual collaboration intertwines technology and communication. Flexibility in adapting new practices and technology is critical, as online businesses are an emerging practice with varying demands. Various research studies on virtual leadership discuss constellations of behaviors, skills, and attributes are needed for an success in the online environment. And that wraps it up. Really, I think what I want to share with you going forward is that virtual online teaching, as well as virtual online business practices, do require a constellation of skills that you need to work forward. Very, very important tips that we brought in these 10 Zen skills together. So thank you very much for your time. And here I have some references for more research, and I appreciate everything. Have a great day.